It would be very, very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Ammar.
Yes. Thank you very much once again. This is a topic which interests me a lot, not because being a technology law student, but also this is something which has been historically very important, and this is something which will be very important in the future, especially in the post-COVID world, which is called as post-consumerism, theoretically speaking, or which is called as the peak of fourth industrial revolution. Consumerism is something which has always been there. So I decided to talk about digital sale of goods and services. It is not about selling goods and services digitally, which is the topic of e-commerce, but specifically I am talking about the digital goods. So I will discuss what are the digital goods and how you can do buying and selling of digital goods. And whenever we talk about the substance, we have to have exemplary procedures. So I think that the UK's law of buying and selling of digital goods, which is called as the Consumer Right Act, which they adopted in 2015, it is a very good contemporary example that a country, of course, legally progressive country, has made a law which can be taken as an ideal. But a little bit about historical and theoretical background of the topic. There is a need to define consumers, there is a need to define digital, and there is a need to define goods. So we will define them separately, but let's talk about the history. This picture I found yesterday on internet, of course, and it shows when the Portuguese and the Arabs were landing on the ports of India and China. So from the caps, you can see that it seems China. And the trade started between Asia and known world, so-called known world, because the India was newly discovered world, and America was newly discovered. So similarly, from the trading perspective, it was the newly discovered world, and the trade began. And this is a picture from India, a very interesting story that the Jahangir's daughter, who was the king, she became ill, and then British, you can say that the doctor at that time, he treated, and in reward the emperor asked him, what you want? And he didn't say that I want money. He said that I want the trading rights with India. So he treated the daughter of the emperor, and in return he didn't get anything for himself, but he said that, okay, give us trading rights, and he got trading rights with India. This is also a good example to be taken, that people are not selfish. People think about their nations, people think about their own people, and this is something which happened with us. So this person, the Captain Hawkins, he got trading rights with India, and this is you can say that it was the fall of the great India, that we started losing our independence in the hand of foreigners, especially the Britishers. Yes. And later what happened, this picture shows that when the Britishers were trading with the Chinese, and instead of giving them money, they were giving them opium. So they were buying actual real products from Chinese, and in return they were giving them opium. So the whole China was addicted to these narcotics. Chinese were being exploited. Trade was booming because they knew that which products they should produce, and the Britishers knew it very well, that which products they should import. But in return, what they were getting just narcotics or opium. And then when they realized that we are being drugged and Britishers are taking all our goods and services and so on, they stopped taking opium in return. And this caused Britishers to impose war on them. So there were two wars, or I think more than two wars, which are called as opium wars. So there were wars between Chinese and Britishers when the Chinese stopped taking opium as a currency in return of their services and goods. And this is imperial China. You can see that everyone is drugged and everyone is busy in smoking opium. And then finally, an interesting story between the Europeans themselves. This shows the division between uh, Britishers and French, how they are fighting among each other to colonize. And many historians, they claim that this was the war of resources, that apparently the new substances were discovered, and Britishers and French, they were fighting among themselves to get occupation of these resources. And one of the resource which is very famous and famously mentioned in all the historic books when we talk about the rivalry between Britishers and French, it was the occupation on the lands which produce coffee. So coffee apparently seems something of no importance, but if we look into the history that how the socialization through coffee began, it makes us realize that it is a very important substance. So what was happening? It was happening that previously people were drinking wine and beer. So they used to go to the bars and they used to drink, and they used to laugh, and no one knew that what is happening, and they would talk stupid things. But when someone discovered the meditational, or you can say that recreational purposes of coffee, the things became it was a whole game changer. Yes. So people were drinking beer and they didn't realize that what they are doing. But when they started drinking coffee, the coffee makes person conscious. Coffee makes person intelligent in a sense that he started thinking about what is going all around him. It has very strong antioxidant agents. So when the coffee houses opened and people started drinking coffee, it was a catastrophe for the government, because people were going in the coffee houses and they were discussing politics, they were discussing economy, they were discussing religion, they were discussing other conflicts among themselves and between the people, and between the other nationalities, and they were criticizing on government. Yes. So the government got conscious that previously when they were drinking beer and wine in the wine houses, we had no problem, but now they are drinking this substance, black substance, and they are criticizing on us. Yes. So this led government to regulate the coffee houses. Yes. And this is a picture shows depicts that the intelligentsia, so-called the intelligent minds or the elite class, is sitting in the London's coffee house. Yes. So the coffee apparently today we don't respect coffee. Historically, it had the potential to disturb the whole social contract between individuals and the government. Yes. So I quoted this example to show that certain products which we don't care of are of huge importance, legal importance, and they have potential to disturb the social contract, and they have potential to create revolutions, and they have potential, they have potential, and some sort of elements of motivation which leads occupation of other countries, and opium or coffee is a very good example. Yes. This slide shows the evolution of rights. I wouldn't say it's human rights, but evolution of rights in general. So we have first, second, and third generation of human rights. These are legal rights as well. So first generation of human rights, civil and political rights. We know that ICCPR, ICCSR, these are two important documents of human rights. So ICCPR and ICCR, basically they are about civil and political rights and economic, social, and cultural rights. And this is what we called as first and second generation of human rights. And then we have third generation of human rights, which is right of vulnerable people. And in vulnerable people, we talk about all sort of minorities, refugees, women, persons with HIV, children, minorities, and disabled persons. Yes. And environmental and developmental rights, you can also include here vegetarianism or LGBT movements and so on. Yes. So these are three generations of human rights. And if we look at the third generation, consumers play a very important role, because on the name of consumer rights, so many things have been claimed. On the name of consumer rights, so many legal challenges have occurred. So consumers are as important instruments in the game of human rights as any other minority, as any other group, or as any other movement of human rights. So consumers are someone which cannot be ignored. Consumers have their rights, and consumer rights has been a challenge historically in terms of generations of human rights. So what about the nexus between governments and consumers? Need for Consumer Protection Act is an era of free competition where consumer is a king, therefore king needs protection. And from here we have this phrase that customer is always right. Whatever customers say, you should accept it. So consumer protection or the customer protection is the need of the era where customer decide, the consumer led market concept. Yes, the consumer is leading the market. We introduce the products which consumer demands. So that's why our market is run by not businessmen but by consumers. So that's why consumer is a king and consumer should be protected. Who is a consumer? There are numerous definitions available on internet. This is one of the simplest example. Simplest definition: a person who has indicated his or her willingness to obtain goods or services from a supplier with the intention of paying for them is called as consumer. And if you dig deep into the definition, you will see that this is also the definition of contract. Yes, there are two parties who decide to do buying and selling of certain goods. One person pay price, another person consider this consideration, and the contract is executed. Yes, this is the simple understanding of contract. The definition of consumer is the same: the person who indicates his or her willingness to obtain goods and services from a supplier with the intention of paying for them is called as consumer. Yes. And do consumer needs government? This is a question of our importance. Yes, not from the human rights perspective but from the market progression perspective. And the similar question you might have heard from many people, that why we should pay tax. Yes, so it has been said that if you have true democracy, you don't need to pay tax. The tax are there to ensure that giving people are giving a certain amount of money which can be used for the betterment of other people who are not paying tax or paying tax in other domains. So similarly, an analogous question is that do consumer need government? Why it is difficult for consumers to interact with the businessmen or the suppliers or whoever who is selling them certain goods? Yes. So do consumer needs government? Yes, consumer need governments in order to avoid the exploitation. We need to protect the consumers from those giant greedy corporations. Yes, giant greedy corporations, and force them to provide good quality products to the consumers, because if we give a free rein to them, they will all unite and will force consumers to buy inferior, expensive, and even poisonous products. Yes. So why we need government as a consumer? We need government as a consumer because if we will have no government or no control, the companies will join hand to exploit individual, consumers, and they will sell us wrong quality, expensive product and poisonous product, because it is obvious that businessmen, they don't have morality when it comes to the profit making. They can make money out of anything. And if there is no control, they will definitely exploit the individuals. Yes. So consumer rights, how many consumer rights are there? There are so many consumer rights. You can list them. I have listed these rights which I have extracted from the Consumer Act 2015 of UK. So you can see that Act provides so many rights to the individuals, consumers, right to the basic needs, right to the safety. It is about the product safety as well. Right to information, that you should be given information about the product. Right to choose, you should have options with regard to product. Right to representation, right to redress, very important, right, that if something went wrong, how you can get remedy of this thing. Yes. Right to consumer education, that product should be enabling, product should also be teaching how to use it. And right to a healthy environment, that the product or the service which you are buying should not harm our ecosystem. And this is also about sustainability. So this is you know, a more dissected view of consumer rights. The consumer rights with regard to your goods and services. And when I talk about goods and services, I'm also considering digital goods. So you can say that how many stakeholders in different dimensions are interacting with consumer rights. Governance and participation in dispute resolution and redresser. A good elaboration of this is that many countries have specific consumer courts. I don't know about Uzbekistan, but in Pakistan and India and many other countries, we have specific separate consumer courts where people can go and they can file a case against the company from which they have bought a product or services. So dispute resolution and redress with regard to the consumer right. Education and awareness is very important. Information and transparency, especially, you know, in the post-COVID era, people's mobility has been limited. So many problems have emerged with regard to transparency, which is something which cannot be ignored. And privacy and data security, we all know that all of these companies, they are producing products, and these products are the result of the same data which they have extracted from us. When you go in the morning on the Yandex taxi, the Yandex taxi knows that where you want to go. Yandex taxi will give you option and he will say Chira vi khali at Sudava. It's mean that the Yandex taxi is extracting your data. Sometimes it happens to me that during the afternoon, if I open the Yandex taxi knows that I went to this place 2-3 weeks before, you know, 2 days date, and they give me the option that you want to go there. It's mean that the data is being recorded, data is being stored somewhere, and this data is being used for a money making process. This is just an example to show that how the data is being collected. Or you might have heard now, anyone and everyone have understood, everyone have experienced something similar to this, that when you talk, when you discuss something near your mobile phone or the electronic devices, the Facebook or Instagram start giving you the options to buy these products. Sometimes you look for a drug, sometimes you look for a medicine on Google, and in the evening you will see that the Facebook or the Instagram will start showing you the advertisement of those medicines and drugs. Or you can search anything and in the evening you can find, or maybe immediately you can find the, you know, the similar suggestions to buy these goods and services on your social media. It shows that how the privacy is being intervened and how the data is not secure, and how as a consumer I should protect my rights. Do do these people have any right to collect my data? Obviously not. Did they ask from me? I don't know. Maybe I have signed a cyber contract while downloading any application and I was not conscious about it. Yes. So in these domains, in these dimensions, the consumer rights are legitimate, consumer rights are important, and consumer rights should be protected. Yes. The goods goods can be divided into three categories. I am not teaching you what are the goods. All of you, you know about this, just to revise it and just for the sake of record, so that it should stay in the history, because we are recording it and we will upload it on the YouTube. So what are the goods? Goods are divided into three categories: existing goods, future and contingent goods. Existing goods means the goods which are present there. Future goods, the goods which will be in future. And contingent goods means the goods, their availability is connected to certain conditions. For example, you can say that if there will be good weather, I will have good cotton and I will sell you that cotton. This is contingent good. If I will get a delivery from America, if I will get, if I will get a delivery from America, then I will sell you the product. So the selling of product is connected to the getting delivery from America. That's why it is a contingent. So existing goods, the goods which are present. Future goods, the goods which will be present in future. And contingent good, I am not sure they will be. If they will be, then I will sell you. If they will not be, I'm sorry, I couldn't sell you. So existing goods are further divided into three categories: specific goods which I know. For example, I want to buy iPhone 12X, I know that, and this specific iPhone I want to buy, so it is a specific good. A certain good means at the time of buying, I recognize the product. For example, I want iPhone 12X, and please give me this iPhone 12X among all other iPhone 12X's. So it is a certain good. And unascertained good means by the time of executing, or by the time of writing a contract, we were not aware of the product. For example, we do a contract that you will sell me 20 kilogram of oranges. So I don't know which oranges, I just concerned about 20 kilogram. So while we do a contract, we can do the contract of buying and selling of 20 kilogram oranges, and he can sell me any 20 kilogram oranges, and this will be a contract of unascertained good. So I don't care about which oranges, I care about 20 kilogram, and he can sell me any 20 kilogram. So this is just a overview of the goods and the types of goods in terms of their availability. And this was just to give you a review of what the goods are in terms of the execution of their legal contracts. Yes, and this is the contract. All of us, we know about it. Essential elements of the contract. What we need to make a contract: we need, first of all, goods. We need to set a price. There should be two parties, buyer and seller. And the transfer of ownership is very important, that the person who owns the product should transfer the ownership to the other person. And these are the essential elements of a valid contract of sale, which includes both sale or agreement to sell. The goods and the price and the transfer of ownership is essential element of contract. It can be written or it can be oral, and it can be, there are so many case laws available with regard to this. Yes, this is the definition of good, which is also taken by the British law, Sale of Goods Act of 1979. It provides the definition of goods, which is very similar to what we have already discussed. Yes, this is an interesting example. I just wanted to get your view that if there is a house on wheels, this is a house. Usually the house is the domain of property law. But if a house is on wheel, do you think that it is the subject matter of property law, or should we consider it as a good? It is imущество, or it is veshi, in the sense, if you want to execute a buying or selling contract. Do you have any opinion about it? Hello, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Ammar, we are here.
Yes, did you understand the question, what I wanted to ask?
Yes, I understood the question, but if anyone has the students maybe any
Yes,
idea.
I just wanted to get your opinion that what you think in this scenario, that this is a house, and if
Uh-huh.
the house is on the wheels, you should consider it a house or you should consider it as good. Because if we consider it a house, there is a different legal regime for it, yes, property law.
Yes,
And
yes.
if we consider it as a good, then it change everything, it turns upside down.
Yeah, yeah. I think we should base on our idea on the function.
On the function.
Yes. What does it do?
Yes, very interesting, very interesting approach. Yes. So this is something which is happening. You can just lift lift the whole building and transfer it from one property to another property, which not only bring challenges for the technicians. Of course there are challenges, but they have overcome this. Now they are moving the whole buildings from one part of the world to the another part. Yes, even some countries in the Europe you can find on internet are doing structural relocations. But it is a challenge for what we have been studying in the legal books. Yes, what we have been studying in terms of property law. So this is something very new. And I quoted this example to just give you an idea that how there could be a paradigm shift in what we have already been dealing with in terms of procedures. Yes, this is an even interesting concept. These are called as nail houses. These photos are from China. So in China also the houses are the property is owned by, the land is owned by the government, like in Soviet Soyuz, and the government can take it back. I think according to the new law, one can get the lease of the land for 70 years. So some people, they don't want to leave their houses and they contest the case, and then government just surrender. They cannot get the land back. So you can see that the only one house or one building is standing there, and the government had to build these bridges and roads and streets around this, just because this person is not willing to leave. Yes. It shows that how important the house stick to the land is, legally speaking, and how powerful the law is. Yes. And it is completely opposite to what I showed you earlier. This one. Yes. So here we have taken it very politely and very temporally, and we just said that it is about the function and it is about the use. I am totally agree with this, but this example shows that there is intrinsic value of land and your house being stick to the land. Yes, the person is not willing to leave his house. He can say that I cannot leave because my dedushka and babushka was living here and there are memories of them and I don't want to leave it. And you cannot give him the monetized you know benefit, or you cannot say that okay, the memories of your babushkas are equal to $1 million. Yes, it is very difficult to monetize these sort of things. Yes, and that's why I brought this example. And this is another example that these are yachts. Very rich people, they have these. And till now we are unable to decide that in which regime they fall, because they move from one country to another country in the international waters, and still the laws are disputed. Yes, distinction between land and goods, personal property and real property. This is the question, that what is the threshold. We can say that this is the threshold, that this is the land and this is the good, or this is personal property and this is real property. So in my understanding, the real property is that I have 100% exclusive rights. For example, I am wearing a watch and this is my real property, this is my personal property, and I can do the maneuverability. I can do buying and selling of it however I want. But if it comes to the land, If it comes to the land, the question becomes difficult because I don't know if it is a real property or personal property. It depends on the legal regime where I am residing. So in terms of goods, we divide goods into two categories, traditionally speaking, fructus naturalis and fructus industrialis. Fructus naturalis, natural fruits, the fruits of nature. These are crops, everything which is grows, the labor of the individuals. Yes. So anything which grows or anything which is naturally present, we call it fructus naturalis. And fructus industrialis, anything which is produced in industries, anything which is produced by machines, it is fructus industrialis. Now it is a distinction for the contract law perspective, but in terms of digital goods, it is very difficult to decide what is fructus naturalis and what is fructus industrialis. Why? Because people are selling their emotions, people are singing songs, people are crying and making money out of it. Yes, people are people are laughing, people are not speaking at all. You can find, there is a person, I shouldn't say the black person, but I don't know how to describe him. He is a black person, more black than me, and he has videos, and he has, I don't know how many million followers, and he doesn't speak a single word. He just shows the stupid videos of other people where the people are, doing something. For example, they are cutting something, or they are, they want to do something and they adopt a very difficult path. But this person in his videos on the TikTok shows that how to do it correctly and how to do it simply. I think you know this person. Yes, you have seen the videos. Yes. So he's not speaking a single word. He's not speaking a single word, but he's making millions of dollars. And the product which is producing, we don't know it is fructus naturalis or fructus industrialis. It is obviously there is a labor of that person, but what about the TikTok itself? Similarly, it comes to the minerals and energy. Last night when there was no electricity, I thought about it, that how we treat minerals and energy as goods, or minerals and energy as services. I think you might also have discussions in Uzbekistan that minerals and energy, or maybe electricity, it is veshi or it is usluga. So can you give me an idea what is it? It is electricity is considered as good, or it is a service in Uzbekistan?
In Uzbekistan, electricity for people, for legal entities, it is considered as goods.
Mhm.
But with in our electrical, how to say, distribution system, there are some legal entities that are doing services to the main generators. This
Okay.
is a monopoly, and we can say that service is done by some legal entities, but for the end consumer who is at the end of the chain, it
Yes.
is as good. Yes, good. It's
Mm.
good.
Yes, interesting. And I think the similar understanding is in a majority of the countries. Yes.
Yes, yes.
So yeah.
We are changing our legislation that the
Mhm.
service will be also conducted by private enterprises. And we
Very
are
very
yes, and
very
we
interesting.
have some enterprises, for example, uh, solar system, solar factories, or that they are private, and they will do the generation, and from this generation it goes to service providers, and the service providers delivers it to the consumers. And I think it changes along the way.
So I think that this distinction is very important, goods and services. And I took the example of this is the Kumtur mine in Kyrgyzstan. You know that Canadians are digging gold from there, and every day they have protests with regard to this. So this distinction of goods and services is very important from not only from consumer right perspective, but there are interventions of other legal domains as well. For example, the if we consider that the minerals or the water, this is attached to land, and if we give them the rights which should be given to the lands, not Veshi, but the land rights, it gives us so many other rights which are very important for the individuals. For example, if we say that minerals are not Veshi, minerals are the products of the land, and you will get your rights with regard to the land, then in future you can talk about environmentalism, you can talk about protection of ecology, you can talk about protection of the lands of individuals and so on. Yes. So why I am doing this discussion, or this example, that minerals which are obtained from the space, should they be considered as minerals obtained from earth? There is a distinction, and there is a whole new branch is developing which is called as property rights in space. Many people, they find meteorites, and different countries have different laws related to them, that meteorites or anything which falls from the sky or anything which you get from the outer world, does it belong to the government or does it belong to the individual? It is analogous situation that if someone in Bukhara was building his house and he found the gold, so much gold, and now this gold belong to the individual or this gold belong to the government. So similar discussion is there. So I think that this discussion or the similar discussions are very important to give us the exact overview of our actual rights, because if we don't have this distinction, we might lose some of our rights. For example, the treatment of goods is different from treatment of land, and I can say it with full confidence that the law around buying and selling of goods is weaker than the law around buying and selling of land. Yes, let's see some of the other examples as well. So do you think that the body parts are goods, buying and selling of body parts? Traditionally, we have been buying and selling teeth, the skeletons, human skeletons for medicinal purposes or for teaching in the medical schools, wigs or the hair extension, and the blood, and so many other things which are being produced by human, and people are willing to buy them. So this is an area where people have been discussing that should we give ownership right to our body or not. And recently you have heard that they have done the transplant of the pig heart into the human, which brought a new discussion among the religious circles, that was it halal or haram and so on. But the point is that certain goods which we are using or finding new ways to use them are always challenging to be accommodated by legal system. Yes, Iran is the country which allows buying and selling of kidneys or the other human organs. It is possible to legally do the trade of this. This is a new concept. I would say it's the digital product, 3D printed body parts. You can take the cells of a human body, then you can design the similar cells, or you can by using some cells you can make the full body part. Yes, and kidneys are being made, hearts are being made, skin patches are being made, prosthetic hands, legs, and other part of the body, if someone loses them, they can be made, and they are very useful, because if you use a prosthetic limb made by some other material, the chances of rejections are higher. But if you 3D print a body part by using your own cells, the chances of rejections are very low. Buying and selling of babies, it is something which has legally been discussed. People have been, I think it is more discussed than the digital content. Is more discussed than the digital content in the historic literature, especially if you look in the context of slavery. So buying and selling of babies is something which can give us the background, theoretical background, if we want to understand the buying and selling of body parts or 3D printed body parts, or the digital content which has higher emotional value. Yes. Many people ask me that you are in China, did you see people drinking soup of Chinese babies or something like this? I never saw it. These are some rumors, but in terms of buying and selling of humans, it is a real question. Historically, we have been discussing. Yes, this is a question of my interest, or my area of expertise, and we meet people on day-to-day basis who think about these sort of things and ask us these questions. And this is a question of importance from a digital content perspective. So what if we have a robot is conscious, robot is embedded with artificial general intelligence, or robot is more intelligent than human in certain domains, and you are doing buying and selling of these conscious robots. So when you are doing buying and selling of these conscious robots, do you think that it is slavery? Do you think that buying and selling of conscious robots is slavery? This is the question many people are exploring. I have even written a book on this, and the title is written Downward: Human Rights and Wrong, Biological Skepticism Towards Human Rights. So I have also analyzed some of the ideas and gave my own ideas that what is important to be considered when it comes to the conscious machines, how to treat them, because these conscious machines, they are developing emotions as well. It is not sci-fi now, it is practically which is possible, and people are working on it. So I will not ask you the answer, but I want you to think about it. And this question will be very much in trend after 10 years. I'm not saying 50 years, I'm saying 10 years. The buying and selling of conscious robots, do you consider that it will be slavery or not? When you will develop huge emotions towards your machine partner or machine friends. Yes. This is another example which stands at the nexus of goods, services, and digital goods. The process is called as cryonics. The cryonics is that when people are about to die, when they know that I am dying, they can go to this company. They can obviously pay them certain amount of money, and they will store your body into these machines. So the idea is that after 100 years or 200 years, when the medical science will be advanced enough, they will bring you back to the life. And there are companies who are dealing in this. There are people who are paying huge amount of money for their bodies to be cryonic. And this is something which is happening. A good case study to be studied from the legal science perspective. We don't need to think about the moral dimensions. We don't need to think about the ethics. We don't need to think about the law as a moral instrument. We can think about the procedural dimension as. Just imagine, regardless of the morality, if tomorrow you have to accommodate these sort of technologies into your legal system, what kind of procedural changes you have to be adopted. Yes. So let's come back to the theory once again. The purpose of sale of goods contract is to transfer the ownership. You have a property and title which is equal to ownership. When you transfer this ownership to the other person, the contract is executed, and it is a difficulty in terms of digital goods. Yes. So seller transfer or agrees to transfer goods to the buyer for a money consideration, which is price. Party A transfer the ownership and titles to the party B, and party B pays the price and receives the title. This is the general understanding of contract of sale. But I have shown you some of the examples, and I will now I'm going to show you some of the more examples where the problems come in terms of both parties, in terms of ownership and title, and in terms of prices. Yes, we will see into that. So defective goods, the goods, if they are not of that quality which you were expecting, we say that these are defective goods. And This is one of the example, Internet of Things. I will not show this video. You can just go on the YouTube and write Internet of Things and you will find so many videos. Internet of Things is an idea when everything around us will be connected with internet and they will be taking autonomous decisions. So it is, I always say that this is the actual fourth industrial revolution when everything around you is connected with internet. Your dresses, your shoes, your door, your television, your mobile phone is already connected. Yes, everything whatever you can imagine is connected to internet and they are communicating with each other. For example, when I get up, my bed will tell to the coffee machine that Ammar has gotten up. Coffee machine will automatically prepare the coffee. I will drink the coffee. Door will automatically open. I will go into the car. Car's door will automatically open. Car already knows that where I want to go. It is connected to my calendar. They will take me to the place and so on. Yes, everything is connected. So when the connectivity will increase, there will be so many defective goods and so many legal challenges for legal scientists will emerge. This is another example of digital content, buying and selling of digital product. You have DNA, everyone has DNA, everyone can get the sequences of their DNA. You can simply pay $200-300. There are so many companies and they can tell you your from which line of mankind you belong to. If you are interested that who were my ancestors, yes, you can pay a small amount of money, $200-300. I am generally, in the international context, $200 and $300, it is considered as small amount of money. So you pay a certain amount of fees and you can get the sequence of your DNA. Now you can upload this sequence on internet. You can do the privacy setting. There are people who are willing to buy the sequence of your DNA and they use this sequence of your DNA or your genetic makeup or genetic data or whatever you label it for different purposes. For example, for doing experiments, for checking the effect of medicine, pharmacokinetics, that how this medicine effect on Uzbek population. Yes, so for this purpose they need your genetic makeup. Genetic makeup is digital content. People can make money out of it, but on the other side there is a possibility that this data will be exploited. Maybe this data will end up in the hands of terrorists who can use the similar data to make some sort of biological chemical weapons to specifically targeting the Central Asian population. This is also possible. Risk is also there. But my point is that this is the genetic makeup is digital content and people are doing buying and selling of it. But in smaller countries like our country in Uzbekistan, we don't have specific laws related to it. But this is something which we need to concern about. This is a concept. Another interesting digital product which is called as Bioboat. So the Bioboat is an idea. These Bioboats have half of the components of metallic and half components are biological. So at the same time, they are living organism, at the same time, they are dead organisms. And recently you can go on internet and you can find, I forgot the exact name of this. So they made the bioboats and these bioboats have the ability to reproduce. They can multiply, they can interact and they can multiply. Yes, so these bioboats can multiply. These bioboats have some pragmatic importances. For example, they can be used for spying, they can be used for delivering medicines, they can be used for transmitting data. Yes, anything is possible. On the other side, there is no legal regime through which legal regime we will regulate the products which are half metallic and half biological. Yes. And an analogous situation is how the humans are being treated in the beginning of the COVID-19 vaccine. Many people didn't want to get the vaccine just because they thought that the white people, they want to install chip in our bodies so that they can check our data. Yes, Kakbuta, I am very productive person or I have billions of dollars which someone need. Yes. So in the beginning, we all have heard about these superstitions that people were conscious about getting COVID-19 vaccine, and they were thinking that the chips will be installed in the human body and we will be controlled and so on. But on the other side, there are some real examples. There are technical advancement in this area, and there is not, without any exaggeration, certain things are possible that humans can be treated as goods. It is possible that they can be treated as goods, and this is a more pragmatic importance. This product, Scandinavia, many Scandinavian countries, people are getting these chip implants. This chip can be used as your credit card for the security system, as a bus card for opening the door, for tracking device and anything. And I think it is the question of serious concern from the social control perspective. But many people, they are very much satisfied. They say that my life has become easy. But on the other side, people like me, they are conscious about the human rights dimension and social control, that this is a slippery slope where it will stop. We don't know where it will end. Another good example of digital products, you might have seen, there are people on the Facebook and Instagram who will get certain amount of money. You can pay them money and you can get followers. So you can pay them $10 and they will bring you 1,000 padpishiki. So this is a good example of buying and selling. You pay them digitally and they bring you the product which is intangible. I mean, padpishiki, you can see only on in your profile. You cannot touch them. But from this product, I mean, getting more followers on Instagram or getting more likes give you the satisfaction. And satisfaction is also not monetized. Satisfaction is also not, satisfaction is also not which you can measure. Yes, but people are doing buying and selling of this. This is a very good example of. So someone asked the question, Maksuda Appa, is it a violation of human rights? Isn't it the interference to the human rights? I mean, it is how you think about it. Many people take it positively. Many people think that it is the violation of human rights. But as a technologist, as a technology law expert, I think that there are both good and bad dimensions. As I gave the example of DNA data, that you can make money out of your DNA. This data, DNA sequencing or your genetic makeup can be used to make the medicines for your genetic makeup. Yes. So specific medicines for specific people. It is a positive dimension. On the other side, the same data can be used for making chemical weapons to kill specific ethnic groups. Yes. Similarly, the nuclear energy, there are positive and negative dimensions. It can be used to make electricity. It can be used to kill the mankind. Both examples are there. So installing chips in the humans or treating humans as goods, there are both positive and negative dimensions, and it varies case by case. It varies. Let's see some of the more examples. This is an example I am quoting here, that sometimes a small product exploit a very big conflict. I couldn't find a more relevant and contemporary example related to elaborate this point, that how a small product can exploit. So you know what happened in Kyrgyzstan? There was a Turkish company which opened this shopping mall, Bishkek Park. So Bishkek Park opened, and there was, you can say that beauty show, or you can say there was a yarmark or something like this. Yes. And this girl and this person, they were performing something, and then I think they themselves put this they call it kalpak. This is the traditional hat of the Kyrgyz people. So they put this on the head of this dog, and this dog did the catwalk. Yes. Apparently there was no negative thoughts in the minds of these people. But when this picture went on internet, people went, crazy in the sense that they started saying that these Turkish people, they have opened a shopping mall in Kyrgyzstan, in Bishkek, and now they are insulting our traditional symbols or cultural symbols, and they have disrespected us by putting this, kalpak or the hat on the head of the dog. Now those people who did this show, they did not have in their mind that this could escalate to the next level, but it happened. So this also shows that certain products which we use or which we treat randomly, or we do buying and selling, sometimes they can be very sentimental to the individuals and can cause huge problems. Yes. And people suffer from it. Yes. So similar examples you can find all around you. I just wanted to bring this example to show you that how a product, no matter it is a digital product or a physical product, can escalate serious concerns, serious social conflicts, and the lawyers should be intervening. And similarly, you can see the buying and selling of weapons. Still, it has not been decided by the Americans. Certain states, they are allowing to buying and selling of the weapon, and certain states, they have very strict regulation with regard to the personal weapons. So how to protect your digital goods from privacy? Is there a risk for the seller? Of course, there is a risk for the seller. In the beginning, we have discussed that when you do buying and selling of digital goods, your data is being collected. No legal regulations are there how to protect the individual's data. World is becoming global villages. We have heard about GDPR, the European intervention about the protection of individual data. Similar laws are being formulated in different parts of the world to protect the individual data with regard to what they are sharing on internet, or how this data is being collected by the corporations. And the threshold when the small buying and selling agreement can make you criminal liable, the threshold is decreasing. Previously, it was a prostoi kupli pradaj dagavor kupli pradaja, but now it is very easy for many people and in many countries, in many legal system, to make a simple business deal a criminal deal. Yes. So the threshold of what a civil case, or when a civil case will become a criminal case, is decreasing with the emergence of digital content. For example, what you post on Facebook can get you in jail. That's why we have banned Twitter and WeChat. So I think you got the idea that whatever you are producing digitally, your digital products, it is not prastoi kupli pradaja dagavor. It can get you in jail. So we should be very conscious, and we should make more stronger laws around it. Yes. There are positive effects of social medias, and there are negative effects of social media. Governments are trying to control the negative impact of social media. Some are allowing more politely, and some are completely banning, and some are more active, and some are more passive. I will not go into detail, what I am talking about. Yes. Similarly, lot many stores are available on internet which are being operated somewhere else, and the servers are located in a third country. Buyer is buying from a fourth country. It is being sold in the fifth country, and product is digital, which makes it very complicated for legal scholars if we have to develop the procedures with regard to this. Many people are talking about cryptocurrencies and digital currencies. Mark Zuckerberg's talked about his digital currency, Libra. I don't know why they are not talking about, they are talking about Meta only, but it was expected. Before Meta, there was Libra as a buzzword. Everyone was saying that Facebook is coming up with its own currency. I have given these, links to the videos. You can watch it later. and this article in New York Times to elaborate more. So what is happening? Businessmen are doing generation targeted sales. Generation targeted means they know that which advertisement should be shown to which age group. So when the old people will open their Facebook, they will get different advertisement. When the youngsters will open their Facebook, they will get different advertisement. So it is all what is being extracted through your internet surfing, helping corporations to do the specific targeted sales. Yes, it is ethical or not, I leave it on you. Are there any laws related to this? No, there are not laws related to this, and there are very few people who are thinking about this seriously, but I think that it is a matter of serious concern. Yes, blockchain technology or smart contract, it is a huge different topic. And Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. Bitcoin, you know, now it is going down. Very interesting topic, huge impact on our economy. Many people still think that it is a Ponzi scheme. Ponzi schemes mean uh, you can say that like networking marketing or leveled base marketing. Similarly, we can say that Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. So Bitcoin is reality. Digital currency is the future. But when we take Bitcoin as a digital product, buying and selling of digital product, I mean buying and selling of Bitcoin, you can see that we don't have many regulations. We don't have many regulations related to cryptocurrency. Sometimes we make regulations which make no sense. For example, in Uzbekistan, you can sell cryptocurrencies, but you cannot buy cryptocurrencies. On the other side, government is thinking about making a crypto mining pool, like a bank, to regulate the selling of, you know. So and in our neighboring country, we recently heard that the serious efforts to make Tenge, the digital Tenge project, is going on. China is thinking about digital currency. Many other countries are thinking about digital currencies. Yes, so digital currency is a digital product. Not many laws are there to regulate it. Now coming back to the Consumer Rights Act, and I will quickly summarize, and then I will give you 5-10 minutes for discussion. I think I have already exceeded the time. So Consumer Right Act, the Britishers made this law. It was adopted on 1st October 2015, and this act replaces 12 other laws. So very comprehensive law, and it replaces the traditionally used Sale of Goods Act of 1979. People used it, all the British colonies or the post-colonial countries used this law or took some element from there. Now it is being replaced by this Consumer Rights Act. And some of the features of Consumer Rights Act, that you can return the faulty goods in 30 days and you can get full refund, and you can challenge the taxes when they are not fair. Yes, and you can, if it is a digital good, you can get a replacement, you can get repair. Yes, and if the product is not repaired or if cannot be replaced, then you can get full refund. And if it is service and you are not satisfied with the service, you can ask about refund or redone, or you can get a new service on a reduced cost. So this is something which is explicitly mentioned in the contract, in this act, and I think that it is very beneficial. Now quickly some of the salient features of it. If you buy a good in a shop and you think that it is faulty, you can get your refund up till 30 days. It can be repaired and replaced. If it cannot be repaired and replaced, then you can get your refund in 6 months. Yes, If the goods do not last a reasonable length of time, you may be entitled to get some money back up to 6 years. It is about lifetime guarantee. Yes. We also don't know what is the lifetime guarantee. How much is the lifetime guarantee? Some people say that 5 years is the lifetime guarantee, but here we can say that it is mentioned that up to 6 years you can get the replacement. If you order goods at home, then same up to 6 months you can get the replacement. Up to 6 years you can bring the claim, and in 14 days you can get the replacement if you are not satisfied. Digital content, very important, from our lectures perspective. You have 14 days right to change your mind and get a full refund of digital content. It is very, it is very, very, very important. For example, if you buy music, now music you have listened, if you buy a movie you have watched, how you can get refund? How you can get, how you can say that I didn't like music, or I didn't like this electronic book, or I didn't like this, song or video game. But this act allows people to get replacement or get their money back, yes, if they are not satisfied with the quality. I think that very, very, very important from us, for us who are sitting here in Central Asia, to think about it, that how we will do the redressal with regard to the digital content. Services paid in a shop, you can repeat the service or fix it, yes. And services ordered at home, in most of the cases you can cancel within 14 days. If you agree to the service will start within this time, you may be charged for what you have used. So you have ordered a service, and if you are not satisfied, you will be charged only for that period of time for which you have used this service. So I mean very interestingly, it is mentioned there. And then the government has made specific websites and portals and helplines for ordinary consumers. You can go on these websites and Twitter and Facebook, and there you can directly interact with the experts who can advise. Majority of the times in our part of the world, we don't find a lawyer who specializes, in such matters, but the government of UK is giving options for individuals to interact directly with the legislatures. They have specialists sitting there. You can go on internet and you can talk with them, and you can get the legal advice from them. Yes. So I am leaving you with two big questions. Are you agree that consumer rights are human rights? Or should we consider consumer rights as human rights or not? It is up to you. From the procedural law perspective, this is very important, that if consumer rights are that important, should we make specific laws related to consumer protection, or should we do a constitutional amendment to protect the rights of consumers? So consumer protection laws should be there, or we should give constitutional protections to the consumer, so that in future we shouldn't be making new laws. We should have a reference to the consumer protection in our constitution. Yes. So these are two questions. One is important from the substance law perspective, that consumer rights are human rights, yes or no? And the second is that should we make specific laws for consumer protection, or should we give constitutional protection to the consumer rights? Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ammar.
If we have time, I just want to quickly show you, because now we are all teachers, yes, here. Just yes. I quickly want to show you the act itself. Can you see this Consumer Rights Act?
Yes, yes.
So, it has some very good elements. For example, if you look at the content, it talks about the goods. It talks about digital content separately. I think that in Uzbekistan or in whole of the Central Asia, we don't have, specifically, exclusively, explicitly mentioned digital content. Yes, how you do buying and selling of digital content, and you can see what digital content contracts are covered, what statutory rights are there under a digital content contract. So I think this is very good example to be think of. And then there are services, separate chapter for services, and unfair terms from monopoly perspective, enforcement, competition, yes, and ticketing, if you buy tickets online, and student complaint scheme. This act recognize student education as a service, and there is a separate chapter for them, that how the students can protect their rights. I think it is very, you can say that, postmodern kind of concept. Yes, so there, the point is that this law is a good example to be taken as, because it is very comprehensive from the substantive part and from the procedural parts, and without any philosophy or jurisprudential hurdles, it provides us the, how to deal with some of the contemporary issues with regard to the buying and selling of goods and services of any type. Yes, so does anyone have any comment or question?